Hi everyone! Today we have a couple FMS FCX24s on the table, and today we'll be getting directly into the workbench view because I haven't been uploading a lot of videos recently and I wanted to get something nice and quick out there for you guys. And these couple trucks, I have made a video on this one recently. There's no talking in it, it's mostly running video. It was like a kind of a silent version of a review. Just wanted to try something a little bit different again. But I have to say, when these trucks originally came out, I was kind of a hater. I thought they looked dumb. I expected them to kind of suck. I wasn't sure about the reliability of them and the overall quality of it. But after owning this one and a few other FMS vehicles, I do have to say I do join the army of the converted. I still don't think FMS quite has the larger scale, like 10th scale, 6th scale, the larger vehicles, quite there yet in terms of full reliability and all that. But the mini cars, definitely, I think they are industry leading. The value you get and the features you get for the features you get for the amount of money you pay is just amazing value, and it just beats out every other vehicle on the market. So if you are looking for a mini crawler, and this is not sponsored by the way, I paid for all of these cars with my own money. If you're looking for a mini crawler and you're not specifically looking for like the specific 1/24 scale size and you don't mind a larger mini crawler, I would definitely recommend these. I know they are advertised as 1/24 scale vehicles, but in honesty, they're more like 1/18 scale vehicles. So just something to keep in mind. But if you're in between the FMS and the Grande and the Traxxas TRX4M, unless you have some specific desire for a specific car, I would recommend these. I think they are much better value, has a lot more features, and they have equally as good parts support and aftermarket support. So I think all of that's pretty fantastic. So in the video I made about this one, I had brass wheel weights in it, and that was it. Since then, I've added the aluminum links in there. It really didn't need it, but the only reason I did it was to steal the stock links from this for a different project, and I will make a video on that soon as well. But other than that, still running the stock electronics, stock motor, stock everything, not even oil in the shocks, and it's been running really great. Some people have complained about the tires not being too great, but the tires themselves are very sticky and very soft. The main issue is the truck overall is really light, and that's what kind of makes the tires struggle to get traction. But once you add the wheel weights, the FMS wheel weights, you can also find them cheaper on Amazon. To these wheels, these are beadlock wheels, so you can just add them directly in there. It improves the center of gravity and the traction immensely, and then these tires actually become pretty good. So I didn't really feel see a need to replace the tires on it, so I still have those on there, and I've been really happy with this truck. So with that aside, here we have the pink one. This is a custom painted one from Fair RC, which is a FMS dealer online, and they do a few of these like custom painted ones in case you want something that's a little bit different than the usual stock FMS vehicles. You want one that's a little bit customized but don't really have the time or want to customize it yourself. They do a lot of really good quality paint jobs and stuff. I bought this one mainly just to test out the website and also just to kind of test out their paint quality and just their overall craftsmanship on the paint jobs. And I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with how this one is painted. It's honestly just as good, if not better, painted than the factory paint job. So that's super impressive. The pink is, I think, super cute. The wheels are painted to match. And then they did actually also paint the inside of the wheel instead of just painting the outside. So fully painted wheel. They also add this bed in the rear, which you can get from FMS or from Fair RC. If you get this version with the bed, you will not get the cage or the spare tire included separately. So you will lose those, and these tend to be a little bit more expensive than the base vehicles, but you are getting a pretty much a customized vehicle without having to do any of the work yourself. So I still think it's a pretty good deal. And I did take this one on a family trip recently. This one is fully stock, and I decided to see how much I could abuse it on my trip, and also wanted to see how the bed would hold up in terms of performance and stuff like that. And I do have to say I'm pretty pleased with how this has performed. I took it up on some pretty steep hills. It climbed the hills perfectly fine. Took it on the beach, drove it through sand, buried it in sand, dunked it, completely submerged it in the lake. Survived everything. The only thing that happened is I lost a screw for my servo horn. But that's a super easy fix, and I don't really fault the truck for that. It's just the amount of abuse I was putting it through. It just happened to get loose, but that's a super easy fix. It's not really even an issue. You just need to put a new screw in there. But other than that, just torture testing this thing at the beach. The transmission held up perfectly fine. The wheels didn't suck up any water or sand. You can see it's perfectly dry and it worked perfectly fine. And so I'm very impressed with these FMS vehicles and super happy with them. And they did release the new Blazer with some updates like metal gears and stuff. So if you do want to check those out, you can. But otherwise, these Power Wagons are still a perfect vehicle for you. If you just want a mini crawler you can use outside and indoors. I just think these are a fantastic choice. So with that said, I will include some running footage of the pink guy here, and I will conclude this video. And as always, I hope everyone has a great day and have fun with RC.
I took it on this family trip, and you can see I'm driving it here outside on this little hill. It's a pretty steep hill, and the full bed does add a lot of rear weight, so it still performs pretty well for the most part. And then that 2-speed transmission makes it really usable for outdoor use, so you can really drive this indoors or outdoors. You can see the high speed is fairly quick. I would say it's probably about as quick or similar speed to some of my like Tamiya vehicles with like the Mabuchi motors and stuff. So it's a very enjoyable speed to drive it with. I'm very impressed with that. You can see it's fast enough to roll over. And I really love the 2-speed transmission feature. The fact that you're able to drive it like a walking pace and then without even touching the truck, be able to shift into a low gear to immediately do some rock crawling like this, I think is pretty awesome. I think all 18 scale crawlers like this should have a 2-speed transmission. I think that was the main flaw with the TRX4M that made it not as useful for all situations. I know it's called a 24th scale vehicle, FCX24, but realistically, the proportions of these things are more like an 18 scale vehicle, so I think they should have called it an FCX18 and then called the FCX18 something else. But regardless, you can see it's doing a kind of a decent job crawling on these little rocks here. It does get high centered a little bit on some of those obstacles, but you can see the tires are doing fairly well, and these don't even have the brass weights in them in here, so they're not even performing at their peak. But you can see they are still performing fairly well. It has plenty of power, plenty of low-end control, plenty of steering, and especially with that rear bed improving the looks of the truck immensely. I think it's a pretty fantastic truck, and I'm very happy with this Power Wagon. I think the portal axles and the much larger than standard wheels and tires are definitely helping the truck out here, especially on these pretty biggish rocks that are kind of just strewn around in a random manner. Um, it's able to still negotiate all of this. The front bumper does catch a little bit on rocks every once in a while, but it's not too bad. And then the undercarriage, the axles, and the chassis, even all being plastic, does help a little bit, um, because plastic is able to slide over rocks a little bit easier than metal. But you can see it survived that whole course without much problems. I took the truck on some sand as well, and you can see I'm still in the low gear here. That suspension looks pretty awesome, navigating those little bumps and stuff. And the
I've
tractor
hit a
style
rock
tires
just
are
once.
obviously going to do pretty well on the looser stuff like this. Um, I didn't really have any issues with the truck getting stuck out here. Granted, it is pretty like damp sand. It's not completely dry sand, so it does hold together a little bit easier than completely dry sand would, but you can see it's doing pretty well. Um, I'm really, really happy with the shocks on this truck. They can be converted into oil-filled shocks. You just have to stick some O-rings in there and stick some oil in there, and you can set it up as oil shocks. But even in the stock form, without the oil, it's not incredibly bouncy, and I think it still drives fairly scale. The only thing about the appearance of the truck that I don't really like is how the bed has huge little shock clearance hoops. Um, so that's a little bit awkward, but if you like throw cargo in there or something like that to hide it, you could probably make it look a little bit more decent. I also wish they color matched the sides of the bed instead of just leaving it black, but that's something that can always be done later. And even having the all black bed, I don't think looks bad. I think it just would have been nicer to have a color matched bed. Taking it on some of the high speed gearing, it's really, really fun to just bash around the beach. Taking it in the water too. The electronics are not rated as waterproof. I believe they're rated as splash proof, but you can see I'm pretty much submerging the entire truck here. Granted, this is not saltwater. Never, even if your car is rated as waterproof, do not use it in salt water. It will still fry it. Um, but this is one of the Great Lakes up here in Michigan, so it's fresh water up here. But you can see the truck is surviving. I'm getting wet, and getting packed with sand right after getting wet and stuff. It's still able to negotiate through the terrain pretty well. The tires are doing a great job. That tractor pattern is gonna always do very, very well in clearing out dirt from the treads, since they're very wide treads. I'm playing with it some more in the water. Right here, I completely submerge the truck and get it completely stuck in the sand and the silt. And the truck is just spinning the whole time. It's functioning the whole time. The steering is working, the motor is working, everything's working just fine. Um, it's just a little bit stuck. But I was very, very impressed with how it performed. So overall, I'm very happy with this truck and the FCX24 line in general, and I hope you enjoyed this video.